If everybody gets caught in your game, you lose. Do you hear that one? If you win, you lose. And that's the horror of it. That's the horror of the way the mind creates these models and then seduces everybody into them. Because you feel secure in the model, but it's secure in your prison room. And that's the horror when the door is open and you don't walk out because you're too secure in the prison room.
In the turbulent era of the 1960s, a remarkable figure emerged, embarking on an extraordinary journey that would transform his life and inspire a cultural movement. From an esteemed university professor to a psychedelic pioneer and a modern spiritual teacher, Ram Dass embarked on an extraordinary journey that would transform his life and inspire countless others. Welcome to More Than a Label. This video is the biographical tale of Dr. Richard Alpert, who would later be known as Ram Dass, a man who traversed 3 distinct stages in a quest for meaning and truth. His story unfolds in 3 stages. Born in Boston in 1931, Richard Alpert was raised in a Jewish household. He came from a tradition of folk religion, where rituals like Yom Kippur and Passover were observed, though the spiritual essence often eluded him. His father was a man of influence, serving on the board of trustees, responsible for hiring and firing rabbis. Despite his father's connections, Richard Alpert faced difficulties gaining admission to Harvard, a fact that would become a recurring theme in his life. As he grew into adulthood, Richard Alpert pursued an academic path. He earned a PhD and secured positions at prestigious institutions such as Stanford and Harvard. He held appointments in various departments, including social relations, psychology, education, and the health service. Richard's professional success was exemplified by his research contracts with Yale and Stanford. In the worldly sense, he was thriving. His life was filled with material success, including a Mercedes-Benz, a motorcycle, an airplane, and other possessions. He hosted elegant dinner parties and vacationed in the Caribbean, enjoying pursuits like scuba diving. He was living the life of a successful bachelor professor, the embodiment of the American dream of making it. Yet, beneath the facade of achievement, he felt a growing sense of dissatisfaction. In 1955, a turning point occurred in Richard Alpert's life. He began working as a therapist, and one of his first therapy patients introduced him to a world of psychedelic substances, notably marijuana. This encounter marked the beginning of his exploration of altered states of consciousness. While he didn't regularly use these substances at first, he found himself drawn into the world of counterculture and the hip community at Stanford. He became a therapist to this community, developing a reputation as a hip therapist. His involvement with psychedelics deepened when he conducted a session with psilocybin, one of the psychedelic substances of the era, on March 6, 1961. This experience was profoundly transformative, leading him to question the academic theories he had been teaching. He felt that the field of psychology, which he had dedicated his life to, failed to address the core of the human condition. His colleagues in academia adhered to an objective, scientific approach, but Richard Alpert was increasingly dissatisfied with the disconnection between theory and his own experiential reality. The life of a 9-to-5 psychologist, as he described it, was devoid of genuine fulfillment. He realized that he was becoming more knowledgeable, but not wiser. There was a growing sense that his academic pursuits were mere intellectual exercises and that his life lacked depth. In the early 1960s, both Richard Alpert and Timothy Leary were conducting pioneering research into the effects of psychedelic substances, particularly psilocybin and LSD, at Harvard University. They were exploring the potential of these substances to expand consciousness and bring about profound personal and spiritual transformations. Their collaborative work led to the Harvard Psilocybin Project, where they conducted experiments with these substances on students and other participants. These experiments aim to explore the psychological and spiritual effects of psilocybin and LSD, often in a controlled and supportive environment. However, their research and experiments soon attracted controversy and backlash from the academic and scientific community. Many viewed the use of these substances as controversial and dangerous. This conflict eventually led to the dismissal of both Alpert and Leary from their positions at Harvard in 1963. Following their dismissal, Richard Alpert and Timothy Leary continued their exploration of psychedelics, advocating for the responsible and intentional use of these substances for personal and spiritual growth. They were instrumental in popularizing the use of LSD and other psychedelics in the counterculture of the 1960s and played a key role in the psychedelic movement. While their work shared common themes of personal and spiritual transformation, Alpert and Leary eventually took different paths. Timothy Leary became an outspoken advocate for the use of psychedelics, famously coining the famous counterculture phrase, "Turn on, tune in, drop out." He continued to explore the potential of these substances for personal and social change. In contrast, Richard Alpert Ram Dass underwent a significant transformation during a trip to India in 1967, where he met the spiritual teacher Neem Karoli Baba, also known as Maharaji. This encounter profoundly impacted Alpert, leading to his embrace of a more spiritual and contemplative path. He left behind his previous identity as a Harvard professor and focused on teachings related to Eastern spirituality and self-realization. Fueled by this dissatisfaction and a desire for a deeper understanding of the human experience, Richard Alpert embarked on a personal journey that would lead him to the third and most transformative stage of his life, the yogi stage. He was no longer content with a life based on theories and academic success. He sought spiritual wisdom and inner fulfillment. In his quest, he encountered the teachings of Eastern spirituality, particularly those of Hinduism and Buddhism. He delved into practices like meditation and yoga, and over time, began to identify less with his former self as a social scientist and more with his emerging identity as a spiritual seeker. The culmination of this transformation occurred when he traveled to India in 1967 and met Maharaji, his spiritual guru. It was during this encounter that he was given the name Ram Dass, meaning servant of God. Ram Dass embraced a life of service, leaving behind his academic career and material possessions. Maharaji was not an ordinary guru. He was known for his deep wisdom, miraculous abilities, and his unwavering love for all beings. The teachings of Maharaji were devoid of formalities and rituals. They were delivered with pure, unconditional love. Ram Dass was initiated into the path of devotion and selfless love, and under Maharaji's guidance, he began to let go of his ego, material attachments, and the desire for recognition and success. The Guru's teaching emphasized the interconnectedness of all beings, mindfulness, and the importance of service. As Ram Dass spent years in India, living a simple and spiritually focused life, he shared his experiences and insights in his influential book, Be Here Now, which became a cornerstone of the Western spiritual movement in the 1970s. Through his writings, lectures, and workshops, Ram Dass continued to spread the wisdom and love he had received from Maharaji. Maharaji lived an unattached and simple life, embodying a state of constant meditation known as Sahaj Samadhi. His devotees protected and cared for him, and their devotion allowed him to continue his spiritual work. The relationship between Ram Dass and Maharaji was not without mystery. Maharaji often performed enigmatic actions and gestures, leaving his disciples perplexed. These gestures, such as a series of taps on the forehead, were imbued with profound spiritual meaning beyond immediate comprehension. Through his experiences, Ram Dass learned that Maharaji seemed to know everything about him, even his innermost thoughts, yet he continued to love him unconditionally. This realization was a turning point in his spiritual journey, as he recognized the power of an all-knowing, all-loving presence. Ram Dass's journey was one of profound personal transformation, from a highly successful academic and social scientist to a spiritual teacher who focused on the inner journey. His life was a testament to the power of seeking deeper meaning and authenticity, and his teachings would go on to inspire countless individuals in their own quest for spiritual enlightenment. In his transition from Dr. Richard Alpert to Ram Dass, he found a new purpose, one that transcended the material world and resonated with the universal quest for spiritual truth. His life, filled with both academic achievement and spiritual awakening, serves as a timeless example of the human yearning for a deeper connection to the mysteries of existence. Now let's talk about the core teachings of Ram Dass. The essence of Ram Dass's teachings can be summarized in a simple phrase: be here now. This mantra invites you to let go of the past and future, and to focus your attention on the present moment. Ram Dass believed that the present moment is the only place where true life exists. So, why is it important to be here now? Ram Dass's book, Remember, Be Here Now, is a classic spiritual text that has inspired millions of readers around the world. In it, Ram Dass shares his own journey of spiritual awakening and offers practical advice on how to live a more mindful and fulfilling life. The book is a collection of Dass's teachings on meditation, yoga, and Eastern spirituality. Dass's teachings are often challenging and unconventional. He encourages readers to question their assumptions about reality and to open their minds to new possibilities. He also emphasizes the importance of living in the present moment and being present with the people and things around us. Be Here Now is not for everyone. It is a book that requires a certain level of openness and willingness to explore new ideas. But for those who are ready, it can be a powerful and transformative read. If you are interested in reading Be Here Now, but you are not sure if you are ready, I encourage you to listen to your intuition. The book will find you when you are ready for it. When you decide to read Be Here Now, be prepared for a challenge. Dass's teachings are not always easy to understand or accept, but if you stick with it, you will be rewarded with a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you. Here's a quote from Be Here Now that I find particularly inspiring. You've got to go at the rate you can go. You wake up at the rate you wake up. You're finished with your desires at the rate you finish with your desires. The disequilibrium comes into harmony at the rate it comes into harmony. You can't rip the skin off the snake. The snake must molt the skin. That's the rate it happens. This quote reminds us that we are all on our own unique journey. There is no right or wrong way to do things. We just need to go at our own pace and be patient with ourselves. If you are ready to start the journey of self-discovery, I encourage you to pick up a copy of Be Here Now. It is a book that can change your life. And if you found this video valuable in some way or another, it would mean a lot if you consider supporting the channel with a like and subscribe. God bless you.